right, welcome back to another Fear Files episode. I'm Rachel,
And I'm Aubrey,
and this is
the Fear Files.
Fear Files. All
Have
right, this is an Aubrey-centric episode. I'm excited.
Woo.
Woo!
I'm excited too because this one is a goodie. It really is.
Yeah, it's very interesting, like its history, and like I said before, like off air, like uh, the family is just a bit
hmm
peculiar in my opinion.
I absolutely agree. Especially watching the films and stuff and like seeing it like on camera and how they interact. I was like, okay.
Yeah. And just like the blank stares stuff like but
Yeah,
we'll get into my opinion later.
we definitely will get into that later. Also, have you seen I think this happened yesterday on social media, they think they have a possible identification of who the Jack the Ripper is.
What? No.
Yeah, I saw it on TikTok and then I was like, I don't know if I believe that because, it's kind of like, you know, it's TikTok. So
Yeah.
I Googled it and they said that they found DNA on a scarf from one of his victims and her name, let me pull it up real quick because I wrote it down because it's definitely something I wanted to bring up. Catherine Adoze, I think is how you say her name. And she was his fourth victim. And I was like, how did they get her scarf from that long ago? And
Yeah.
apparently, this scarf had been like auctioned off multiple times. And like, I didn't read too much about it, but they said that Jack the Ripper's identity is Aaron Kosminski, something like that. And I was like,
Kotzman.
what?
What? I'm gonna
Something,
have to look into
yeah,
this now because that's a little wild.
yeah. That's what I thought too. I
And
don't know if I
especially for
really
it to get
believe
auctioned
it.
off several times, like how are we
That's
not
what I'm
talking about like
saying.
transfer DNA or anything like that?
hmm That's what
Mm.
I'm saying. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't freaking know. So I just wanted to bring it up. I was gonna bring it up to you a few days ago, but I was like, no, I'm gonna wait till we do another episode because I want to see what her reaction is.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
That's
I thought it was
wild.
crazy, but
I'll be interested to read about that because
yeah,
that's,
definitely.
I mean, he was a very prolific serial killer. So like,
Mhm. Exactly. I thought it was crazy that I literally was just scrolling on TikTok and it popped up and I was like, what? I need to tell Rachel. It was insane. But anything going on with you?
um, no, just the lovely nausea. We
Oh,
we did a
yeah.
transfer the Thursday before we recorded our first episode for IVF. And I'm sorry if you guys hear the dogs in the background; they're just playing. Um, they've been in a very
Little
playful mood
babies.
today. Little babies. So I have been struggling with nausea all day today. So
We love it. We love
shout out
nausea.
to the smelly Target bathroom that made me almost barf.
Yeah, it's freaking disgusting. Um, well, if there's nothing really going on, should we just
Dive
get
in,
into it?
get into it, yeah.
All right, everyone. So today we are covering the Lake Shawnee Amusement Park. Now, I didn't want to get too deep into the murders that were at this
Yeah.
amusement park just because a few of them, well, not a few of them, majority of them are children. So I wrote their names down and I wrote down a brief, description on what happened, but I don't want to get too far into it. So, starting off, I would say in the 1700s, the land before it was Lake Shawnee was founded by Mitchell Clay and his wife Phoebe and their 14 children.
That's
Yep,
wild.
14 children.
1700s and 14
hmm
kids. Like,
Is insane.
I mean,
Absolutely insane.
we still have a high like mortality rate amongst like
hmm
childbearing now. Like, could you imagine the 1700s?
Yeah, and there was one podcast, I think it was Morbid that I was listening to, and they were covering the case of a murder or something. And there was a couple, and this her husband left her. I don't remember their names exactly because this was a long time ago. And she had 72 children.
I'm sorry, what?
72.
Girl, talk about loosey goosey.
No, for real. I was
Bro,
like
that's
jaw on the
crazy.
floor. It was, oh my God. Anyways, but yeah, 14 children still is insane, especially now and then. That's a lot of children for me. So, but they were from Princeton, West Virginia.
West
And
Virginia.
mhm. And the Clay family were the county's first English settlers actually. I had read in a different article that they were living in a different part of West Virginia, so I don't know. And they just moved to this new land. I have no idea. There was just a bunch of different articles with a bunch of different information, but I found one that seemed the most accurate to me and with the most amount of, description to it. Now when the Clay family moved here, everything just went straight to shit. So in an article, Clay took his two oldest sons hunting and left everyone home, and three of his children had been killed by Native Americans on the land. It was very sad. Um, but like I said, I don't want to go too deep into their deaths because they are brutal, and it's, something that we did discuss in the first episode.
Was a no-no.
Yeah. But the children that did pass away was Bartley, Tabitha, and Ezekiel. And
See,
Bartley
I
was
love
shot.
the name Ezekiel.
So do I. I said the same thing when I was doing the research, and I was like, "Oh my God, I love that name."
But
It's
I've
so
always
like
liked really
clean.
old English names.
Yeah.
Colin hates old English names. But like we were having that conversation. Like we've had names picked for a while and we've had names kind of like saved that we like,
Right.
definitely really want to use if we have a girl or definitely really want to use if we have a
hmm
boy. And
Yeah.
then I was like pushing another name and he's like, "No, like I really don't like it." He was like, I don't like them old English names." And I was like, "But I do."
Why? They're so just, I
They're,
love them.
yes, I feel like they're just so timeless. But then it's kind of like, you know, who has like a baby and names him Philip?
But I feel like nowadays everybody is just trying to name their children after like these new made up names that are supposed to be like super exotic when
No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
like these old English names are the
Braden,
ones
Raiden,
that
and Jaden.
yeah. Anyways,
Anywho, sorry.
so it's okay. Bartley, he was shot, unfortunately, and Tabitha was stabbed. And Ezekiel, as much as we love him and his name, he got the worst of it. He was kidnapped by the tribe and he was tortured and he was burned at the stake.
So
So
sad.
sad. Yeah, I know. And then after the brutal murders of his children, Mitchell actually tracked down the tribe members into Ohio to find Ezekiel. And he did find him, but
Unfortunately, too late.
yeah, he was really late, and that sent him into an absolute spiral. And actually, him and the tribe that he went with, like his friends and stuff, they got into basically a war with the Native Americans on that land. So, and that'll wrap around to some of the, hauntings
Which,
and stuff.
yeah, and that's so sad because like indigenous people were here first. Like we
hmm
didn't like it's sad to think that
Exactly.
like that was either, like hunting grounds or like, maybe potentially people might have lived there. But I think through all accounts that like I've looked at, it was like their hunting ground. So obviously,
Yeah.
it's
hmm
very sacred, it's something that provided sustenance to their tribes
Right. But it's
for
also
ever.
horrible to
Yeah.
kill little children. And it's just so sad because I see it from their like point of views. I can see why the Native Americans were upset, but I can also see why
Yeah,
Clay and
I would
his
do
family
anything
were
for my child.
exactly.
Yeah.
And from what I read also is like, they didn't know that this was a Native American land, so it's just kind of like they got ambushed, but at the same time, like you did invade, you know.
Yeah.
Their land, their hunting grounds. Because they also mentioned that it was like, oh my God, I can't even remember what it was. I'll probably remember. We'll lop back around. Anyway,
Do a
there
lap
was so
around.
literally there was so much that I read, just insane. So, so after he, him and his friends got into it with the Native Americans. They went back to Mitchell's house and everything, and I believe they moved away and they just got a new house, and him and his wife just peacefully passed away of old age. Now, there is a monument, and it says, in this field in 1783, two children of Mitchell Clay were killed by Shawnee Indians. Clay was the first white settler in Mercer County. And there's a statue of Mitchell Clay and Phoebe holding each other, and there's also a cemetery and a park named after them as well. And they also have like a giant tombstone in a sense that has a giant quote on it. And I couldn't find good pictures on it of what that monument says, but they also have a tons of roads and back roads and stuff named after them as well. Because it's just so sad on how their children passed away.
It is, especially
Um,
when you think about like how that one, like that those three deaths led to so
mhm,
much more.
yeah. And I wish I could find more stuff about Mitchell and Phoebe and their kids, but there was not really anything else I could
I mean, it's
find.
the 1700s.
Exactly. But I did find that Phoebe died on July 20th, 1809. And it doesn't say how she died, so I'm just saying that I'm assuming it's natural causes.
Mhm.
And the same thing with Mitchell as well. He died at the age of 69 in 1811.
Which is so
Um,
crazy because like 69 is still so young.
yeah. And there was another um fact that I found about Tabitha and Bartley, but I rather not say. But if anybody is interested on what ha else had happened to them when they died, I would definitely look it up because, woo, it's a doozy.
Is it very gruesome?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
figured it's something that
Hard
you would not
pass.
want to hear, so
Yep.
I'm just
Hard
gonna pass
pass.
on that. So if anybody else wants to find out how else they died, then yep, you can go do that.
That's the perks of the internet, baby.
Yeah, exactly. You can find anything on there. All
That
right.
was kind of
So,
crazy.
I know it's kind of scary too. All right. So after the terrible tragedy with the Clay family, the land was actually bought by a man. I can't say his last name. So his name's Conley Trigg, either Snido or Snido Senior. One of the ladies in one of the episodes said it, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be remember how to say that.
What was his
Anyway,
name?
Snido or Snido. It's Snidow.
That's a name, man.
I know, right? And it
Hmm.
opened up September 3rd, 1926. And he actually opened up this amusement park for coal miners and their families because they had a bunch of coal miners that were staying in that area and they didn't have anything to do in that area. So he thought it
Yeah.
would be a good idea for them to open it up and, be a place for a little getaway. Now, the amusement park included a giant Ferris wheel and a swing rod, which is like one of those seat swings and has the giant cables connected to it and like swings you in the air. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
which is still crazy that we're talking like 1900s and those are still like
Right. That's
up.
what I said.
They're still right side up.
Uh-huh. And it was also said to have a swimming pool, a racetrack, and concession stands, and they also had cabins for like overnight stays. But I couldn't find any pictures of that either, so I was like, I
Rip.
don't know if that's really true or not. But so yeah, there was a tons of things for families to do. Now I'm gonna start getting into the deaths because there's a few that are, they're little kids, so I don't really, want to get too much into that either. They're not like gruesome deaths like the Clay kids, but they're still like weird deaths that had happened because once you like
Mhm.
listen or not listen, you watch the documentary about like what had happened, there's one lady on there who survives, but I'll get into that. So around 1950 is when the deaths started occurring. So the first one was Emmeline Schrader, and she was killed in 1927, which is literally a year after the amusement park had just opened. So they were
That's
only open 1 year,
crazy.
and one girl already died.
Time to close
It's
it.
like, literally, like you would think, like, maybe we shouldn't bring our children there anymore. But at the same time, the way she died, kind of like it comes off as an accident. So I don't know. So she was actually on the swing set, so the swing rod, and she was struck by a truck. Like, yeah. I don't know
Didn't
how
it
that
what like
happened.
back into her or something?
There's another girl who,
Oh my God, there's
yeah, so
two.
there's two girls who died by a truck hitting them. Then the other one, I couldn't find her name anywhere. So it's just young girl. She was 3 years old and she was on the swing when a loading truck backed into the path of the swing. And I'm pretty sure it was like a giant soda truck to fill the freaking concession stands. But
That
you would
is
think to like watch where you're backing up to. If you see you're backing up into a freaking swing set, but at the same time, like if she's going up in the air, because you know those swing rod sets,
oh yeah, you fling
they
into
go
the
out
air.
yeah, you go out pretty wide. So like I can see how that could have happened, but I don't know. I feel like
And
the
it's not like
amusement park
the
should have been set up
2000s
better.
where we've got like backup cameras where we can
And like
see
the loud beeping
everything.
noise. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame that certain things like this weren't like roped off to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
yeah, like when we go to like the Strawberry Festival or whatever, and like you see all of like the, like I don't know what they're
Oh
like
my God, I've never been to the
roadblockers. We
I've
talk
never
about this
been.
every year and it makes me so sad. Cause like
Well,
I grew up with that, which I
I
mean,
know, and I've never
different
been before. And Brandon, I told Brandon, I was like, I want to go. I've never been before. And then I always forget like when it comes. So I was talking to one of the girls at work
comes in
like
March.
yesterday. Yeah. And she was like, we're going to the Strawberry Festival. I was like, oh my God, when does it start? I've never been before. And she's like, I think it starts in March. And I was like, oh my God, I am going.
Hit up
I'm
Publix
going.
and buy some tickets from them because they're much cheaper.
They sell tickets at Publix for it?
Yes.
Oh, I did
Yes.
not know. I didn't know that.
Yes, you can. I think you can buy your armbands there too. But
What?
I would
Oh, that's
recommend buying
interesting.
like your entrance ticket there because it's cheaper. I think it's like $4 or $5 cheaper than what you would pay at the gate.
What is like the normal
I
gate price?
think it's like 10.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I haven't been since COVID, but like when I used to work at
Mm-hmm.
Publix, like we would sell them, I think, for 6,
Oh,
and they were
wow.
like $10 tickets.
Hmm. I might have to add that onto the list because I have freaking 60 hours of PTO time that I need to
Use it,
use.
use it,
I
use it.
know.
That's a lot of
I
PTO.
freaking know. Anyways, moving on. Um,
Teacher number
next
2.
is George White, and he drowned. So he was one of the boys that drowned in the lake. And I couldn't get a ton of information about that. I'm pretty sure he just, drowned normally.
Now
So,
their lake was like a swimming pool, wasn't it?
uh, it was supposed, so, like, flip it. So the pool looked like a lake or like a pond.
Mm.
So it just, it did not look like a pool whatsoever. It just looked like something that I wouldn't even want to swim in.
Yeah, just the thought of swimming in anything other than the ocean or like a clear pool just grosses me
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I mean, I don't feel comfortable if I can't see my feet touching the ground and what's
Yeah.
swimming around me. But yeah, I think he just drowned normally. But there is another boy who drowned, and his name was John Tolley, and he died
Was he tall?
in, good one.
I'm sorry.
No, he died in 1930. Now, I read in an article that he got his arm stuck in like a pipe.
In the
Yeah, like
oh,
underneath the water, his arm got stuck. But in the dead files, one of the girls on there who was being interviewed, she said that he was stuck in like the drain pipe. So it was like a giant, like, oh, I don't know how to describe it. So you know the ones where there's like water coming out of it that goes into the ocean like in the movies?
Yeah.
Kind of like that, but a little bit smaller to where he would actually physically get stuck inside of it.
Ew, kind of like how like pools have the filters and like your swimming trunks get
Yes.
stuck.
Yeah.
Mm, that's
It's
bad.
so sad.
That's so
So sad.
bad.
Yeah. So then after all of these deaths actually happened, everyone was like, you know what? Done. We're not coming to this freaking park anymore. So it closed in 1966. But then it was bought in 1988 by Gaylord White. Now, uh, this family, they're a little weird, and you've noticed it when
Hmm.
you
This is
watch
the family
the.
from the Dead Files episode, right?
Yes, yes. So this
Now, has
is.
it changed hands since that family or
No, I'm pretty sure Chris White still
the
owns
same?
it,
Yeah.
operates it. Yeah. But it's not like an amusement park anymore. It's just like almost like an outdoor museum. Like you can go there and be toured, but you can't like, stay the night there or camp there. Like you only can go there with a tour guide and then you have to leave. So
Which I think is a good
that's
idea.
what, yeah. But White actually used to work there at the park when he was younger. So he worked for, oh my God, excuse me. He worked for Conley, which is really surprising because,
So he's
after
like
it happened,
deeply rooted in that property.
yeah. hmm I would think after all those deaths and stuff, I would not, want to own that. But the thing is, they actually lived on the property of Lake Shawnee. Like their trailer park was actually on like the back property of it, if that makes sense. It was like their backyard,
Yeah, ugh,
which I
I don't
thought
know
was
how to
like,
feel about that.
thank you.
So like my opinion after watching the Dead Files episode is like uh, he just seemed very blissfully unaware, but also at the same time like very attached to the property.
Oh yeah.
And it was spelling to me that he was like possessed to a certain extent.
But it didn't make any sense. Like I picked up on that too, but it didn't make any sense to me because he wanted to get his mom out of there.
Because
Like
he
it
wanted it
just
all for himself.
oh, what a weirdo.
Like that was the vibe I got, that he didn't want anybody
Yeah.
else to experience it other than him.
Yeah, he had them crazy eyes. Like you could see
He
it.
really did. Like I was
Yeah, it
like,
was kind of scary.
is this man's like haunted?
Yeah. So, when White actually bought the place, he wanted to renovate it and he wanted to sell like pieces of the land to turn it like into homes that could be built there. But he ended up not doing it. He
Bad
just
idea.
reopened the park.
Bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah, you should have just. But at the same time, like imagine if they did build like all of the homes there and they all had their own little ghosts in their little house. Oh my God. No.
Just thinking about like
It's like
how,
possessed land.
yeah, like
That's
how
scary.
traumatized that land is too. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
let's just say like the park never existed and it was just like the horrible history of, the original settlers plus the indigenous people. Like, just that
Yeah.
conflict alone is just very traumatizing.
Mm-hmm. The whole area, in my opinion, just needs to be left
Cleansed
alone.
and then
Yeah,
left
it
alone.
just, yeah. And that's even what Amy said from Dead
Hmm.
Files. Like, she was just like, this land basically needs to be left alone. Like, there's just too
It
much
just needs
going
to be.
on. Yeah, exactly. Um, And White had also made like reports of feeling someone touching his shoulder or his arm when he was working there in the earlier days. And it didn't specify if this was like before or after the children had died, but at the same time, like, you have to think back to the 1700s when those Native Americans died. Like that could also be the presence of them touching your shoulder too, because for one, you are on their land
Yeah.
and you built this amusement park and you're disturbing them when they need to be at peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he also claimed to see I can't say this word, so bear with me. Apparition? Apparition?
Apparitions.
Apparition. A for effort. But if
Yes, A for effort.
yeah, if nobody knows what that means, it's the ghost or ghost-like image of a person. And he said that it was of a young girl in a pink dress with ruffled sleeves, which spooky. No, thank you.
Spirit
That's
kids are
scary.
always so like scary.
Oh my God, I know. And another thing that we should cover one time is the black-eyed children.
No,
What? You don't want to do that one?
no, they freak me out so badly.
Okay.
Like
That is a hard pass then.
that is a hard pass for Rachel.
They are really scary though.
Yeah.
But that reminded me of that, and I was like, huh. But many people have said they had interactions with the little girl who died on the swing. And I don't know which one they said, but it could be both of them for all I know. They could be taking turns.
Could be something else. Saying it's a
Hmm.
little kid.
And I
Just saying.
also read real. And I also read in another article, and I'm going to read the quote. And it says, her swing is marked by a red ribbon. Although it seems she prefers a swing adjacent where an owl ornament hangs down. On a still day, the owl seems to dance in a breeze only it can feel. We watched it shake and spin on an otherwise still day when not even the leaves in the trees above seemed to move. Curiously, the owl will often stop in its track, falling limp as if someone hit a swing or as if a child dropped it, as if they move on to another toy.
Ew.
Isn't that freaky?
See, like what always gets me is like when there's a breeze or like something's happening that like you can't like there's not like a physical breeze, there's just like
Hmm.
that cold breeze that you feel typically when you interact with some sort of entity and like
Hmm.
I tend to I believe but I tend to like try and explain it.
Right.
So like when I can't explain it, it's kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that happened.
I get that. Because sometimes when I have the worst blonde moments ever, I'm sitting down at work and like on my break or something, and I'll feel like this breeze brush over me. I'm like, ghost. And I freak
Yeah.
out and I'm like, oh my God. Because it's possible it could happen. But
Never know.
there
It
was
is
another point.
old people do shop in
What?
that store.
A lot of people.
I had
A
old people
lot.
die at Publix.
Oh my God, shut up. Really?
Yes.
When
Yes,
you were
when I
working
worked at
there?
that retirement community Publix. Yeah. I
Oh
was
yeah.
so
Oh,
creepy
oh, okay.
close.
I remember you telling me that. Or maybe it was something else. I don't know.
It was
Anyways,
probably that.
probably. Squirrel brain. Um, so there was another report of one of the boys who had died in the lake. And it is said that he moves throughout the park and stays specifically at the front, welcoming and protecting guests. And then this is so sad because it said he couldn't protect himself when he was alive. And I was like, oh,
That's so sad.
I know. Oh, it's so sad. Oh, God. And it says there is a pinwheel that is attached to a ticket booth. And it's kind of like the owl ornament. And it moves when there's no wind at all. And they believe like it's another thing connecting the little boy to the living.
Is it the white pinwheel?
Yes, I believe so.
Gross. I was literally just staring at the white pinwheel picture. Mm.
I couldn't, I didn't search for a picture of it. God dang it.
I just looked up like Lake Shawnee amusement park and I'm just like looking at like different pictures.
See, that's what I did when you did yours too. It's very helpful.
It
Like
is. It helps
sets
you picture
the,
it out.
yeah, definitely. Um, so moving on to like now, like who owns it now, it's Chris White. And like I said, his mother, Jewel, actually lives on the property. And in the dead files, Chris said his dad died in 2010 of cancer. And actually on the episode, they go into like a deeper like dive almost on how he died and why. And like they basically connect like different dots because they have Steve like going during the day and like interview the people, and then they bring
Mhm.
Amy in to have like her do her psychic shit, whatever. And they like put their cases together at the end, and she was spot on like the entire
Yeah,
time. So, Chris's brother also died on the property, and he died of a heart attack at 51. And then,
so young
yeah, very young. And it's scary because he was living on the property, and so
as well.
was, yeah, and so was Gaylord White, like their dad. He was also, no, wait, he didn't. He died in the hospital, but like they said that his presence went to the Lake Shawnee amusement park because basically that was his whole entire life, you know?
I think it's a lot like the son. Like I think both of those are like unhealthily attached
Oh,
to the
yeah.
property. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like the same for the mom, but I think the mom's unhealthily attached to like this is where at least I know I can see my husband and my son
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
she's emotionally attached to it.
exactly. And when Amy was doing like her at night like reading or whatever it's called, forgot what it's called. Basically just like feeling the energy and trying to sense what had happened in the house. And she said later in the film that it was because that he had died or someone in the house had died because of the energy in the house, meaning because of the ghost that was in the house. Because in the documentary, Jewel, his mom, had said that she has seen, I can't say this word. Say it for me. Ap
Apparition.
ap yes. She sees that of like of a Native American in her house basically.
Yeah, I remember her saying that. Which
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
that I feel like a lot of people don't respect
Mm-mm.
the history and seriousness is not like the proper word to use, but like I feel like indigenous people and especially their history like deserve so much like
Agreed.
respect.
I know this is probably wrong for me to say, but I felt like she was almost kind of like bullshitting. Just like the way her body language was and the way
Yeah.
she was just talking. It just like I was like,
It
I
just
don't
felt
know
very
if
matter of fact.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I it just like rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know. It just I don't know.
While she said that she
Um,
like really cared about the property, it just didn't really seem like it. I agree.
yeah. Yes, I agree. Um, and then the Steve had asked Chris like why not just sell the property? And Chris like the way he
Immediately. Yeah.
his the way Chris responded made me chuckle. And it made no sense because Steve responded the same exact way that I would have responded. So Chris was like, we pretty much let the land do what it wants. If the land wants to be created back into amusement park, we will let it happen. But if it doesn't, we will just follow the land. And Steve looks at him and he like tilts his head and he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but it's
Bro,
your
same.
place.
Same. I was like, is he
And
smoking
I
that
wrote in
reefer?
said in parentheses, huh? Next to my quote, like next to my notes, and I was like, what? It was, it made no sense to me. I was like, okay,
Yeah, that's
whatever.
when I was
You do
like,
you,
yeah, this man's is haunted.
literally. But
Uh,
they also feel like his brother and his dad are still there on the land, like we had talked about. Because, like, I think Jewel had said that she sometimes feels like he's there with her, and so does Chris. And they need to pass on already. I think it's just, it's not good for the land either. It's not good for their family. Um, so after like deeper into the film, Amy said she felt like 12 different souls there. So I was like, who else like had died on the land? Because all we know is Bartley, Tabitha, Ezekiel, the two girls who drowned, and then the two boys, and then the dad and the brother. So I was like, who else has died on the land besides like the Native Americans? because I feel like that would be a lot more than 12.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit more researching, and it turns out that, oh, where is that? I lost my place. There was a brutal murder that happened in 1935.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That
Yeah.
that 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 man's girlfriend or whatever. I
Yes.
forgot her name. Yeah.
Her name was Myrtle Taylor, and she was only 19 years old.
Again, who names their child Myrtle? It just makes me think of old little ladies.
I know.
She probably would have been the cutest little old lady.
hmm I looked up a picture of her. She was pretty, she was really pretty. Um, but it had happened like right along Lake Shawnee, and it was definitely like a crime of passion. But his name was James Kraft Belcher, and he was 25 years old. And it said that his grandparents had actually owned the property in the early 1900s. So they owned it before Gaylord White owned it. No, wait, he owned it before Conley did, before he opened the amusement park, because he opened it in 1926. Oh, wait, no.
Talk about a weird twist of fate.
Aubrey, do the math here. He owned it right after Conley did. So after the murders. Um, and his grandparents owned the property in the early 1900s, and he was seeing the woman, Myrtle Taylor. And I think they were just casually dating because I believe James was in the middle of like a divorce or he was married. So I couldn't find a ton of information about that. It was kind of all willy-nilly. But one night James is out and he saw Myrtle at a restaurant with a different man. And that sent him over the fucking moon. He was pissed. So,
Over the
I mean, I would be
moon.
too.
Same.
I mean, I
Same.
would be too if I saw my girlfriend on a date with another man. But I would not like go this far as to,
Yeah, I
you
wouldn't
know,
murder my partner.
murdering. Yeah. So
Maybe a
on the
little
night
light
of May
choking.
11th, so on the night of May 11th, 1935, he sees her out to dinner with another man and they start fighting. I mean, I would start fighting too if I saw the
Same.
same thing. But she kept telling him like she doesn't want to leave the restaurant because obviously she sees that he's upset. I mean, I wouldn't want to get into a car if my significant other or whoever I'm seeing is obviously that mad because,
Yeah.
bad things could happen. But he ended up forcing her to leave with him anyways, and then they drove along a road by Lake Shawnee, and he forced her out of the car, and he shoots her in the head twice, two times, but she doesn't die. Did not die. What was that?
So is she just like
Sorry, my headphones just did a weird noise.
is she just like laying there on the ground?
Yeah, so I'm assuming she was just laying there on the ground, and he picks her back up and he puts her in the back of the trunk, and he drove her to the hospital, but she dies a few hours later, unfortunately. But it's the fact that she literally did not die on the spot with two gunshots to the brain is insane.
Yeah, but that's
But
such a traumatic like scenario.
I know,
So
right?
you know she's stuck there.
hmm But I mean, I'm glad she didn't, suffer. And because if she did stay alive from those gunshots to the head, that would have caused so much damage. She would basically not even be, you know, anything.
Yeah, she wouldn't have been a shell of herself.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's sad that she did have to pass away like that, but, as long as she's not suffering anymore. But she did unfortunately pass away. Um, uh, I lost my place. Oh my God. He did end up, he confessed to it, but he took the insanity plea. But the jury didn't believe it and they convicted him and he died in prison in 1993 at the age of 85.
That's fair.
Yeah. So I thought that was just like little cool thing that I looked up because she did say there was other bodies that were on the land. So it was like, who else has died on this freaking land?
I'm sure there's other
So
bodies too that are like just like we're,
unknown,
yeah, and we're unaware of it. I'm
right?
sure
It's
there
kind of
has to
scary.
be
Mm-hmm.
because that property is massive.
Yes, exactly. But I want them to do like another like um deep dive on it. Kind of like I want Amy to go back out there and just do another what's that called? I keep forgetting the freaking word of it.
I don't know what she calls it, but I know what you're talking about. I'm sure it's just like a reading of a sort, but I don't
Right,
think
like
she's on
that.
that show anymore.
Really? I thought they were still making episodes.
They are, but it's a different lady that does it now. She was on the Holzer Files. Forgot what her name was. Cindy Kaza. Yeah,
Oh, I
she's
didn't know that.
super cool. She does a lot of like when she does her readings and stuff like that, she does like I don't know what she calls it. It's like free writing of a sort. So like whatever's coming in from her like psychic reading, she's like writing it down. You'll have to watch the Holzer Files. It's very interesting to like watch her do some of the work, but I'm pretty sure that's who replaced Amy.
What's it called?
The Holzer Files, Holzer.
Is it on Max?
I think so.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I really like her too.
My computer is not charging. Anyways, so, and the crazy thing is when Amy was there, like on the land doing her reading, she actually like had a feeling and she actually saw like the ghost or the ghost like image of the girl. And she just said she just kept describing that she was really sad, and then she kept saying something brutal had happened on this land. And once they meet back up, like her and Steve, she oh wait, before she met up, she actually went to a sketch artist and she was describing what she was seeing, like what this girl had looked like. And when her and Steve meet back up, Steve had already had the information down about like this case and how it happened, da da da. And he actually got a picture of Myrtle Taylor and they compared their sketches together and it was the same exact picture. They looked completely identical. It was actually insane. It was scary. I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, it's
But,
always creepy when you like sense or you feel or you see
mm-hmm.
and it's all
Yep.
like, imagery in your head.
Yeah. I
And
know
when
it's
someone like is like, here you go, shows you like
yeah, it's
legitimate
really
proof of
scary.
it.
Hmm. Because at the end of the like episode, they compare what they see because Steve learns about it basically. He gets all of the research done, and then Amy does her readings and she feels the presence of it and she sees it all. And they report back and they compare notes and it's majority of the time, all the time, spot on, which is really
Yeah.
fascinating to me actually. Um Now, when they were doing their like readings together, her and Steve were like comparing information. Like we had said earlier, Amy said that the land just needs to be, left alone basically because the Native Americans' ghosts are there. Their souls are there. They are tied to this land because this is their land. It was their hunting ground, it was their praying ground, their spirit ground, and that's why like they keep getting visits from the Native Americans, especially Jules' mom, because she's, made numerous comments that she has seen the Native American in her home, like felt his presence there and stuff like that. But Chris obviously said that he doesn't want to get rid of the property because he's freaking obsessed with it for some odd reason. But Amy was like, okay, well, if you're not going to get rid of this land or sell it or just leave it be, like if you have visitors, you need to encourage them to leave a peace offering behind because the Native Americans will be at peace. They will not bother you because it's basically a token of respect. So to this day, when they do tours and stuff like that, everybody is encouraged to leave like a token behind or a peace offering. Because one guy, he said in his review or something that he left a keychain behind. But I was like, well, that's good that they are keeping the peace on that freaking land because it wasn't ours to begin with.
Yeah, especially
But
because like indigenous people have like a deep respect for the land, and not
hmm
only like the land but also its wildlife. So like I'm sure,
exactly.
again, like I'm sure that property meant so much more to them than, we'll
Yeah.
ever really understand.
hmm But another sighting that Amy had during her reading is she saw a non-human in the park, and she said it was very large and it was trying to protect the people that are there. And she said that it was wearing a robe. So I was like, my mind, when she said that it was there trying to protect people, I immediately thought of the boy. But then when she said that it was very large and wearing a robe, and I said, what the hell is that?
I wonder if like the little boy changes himself.
Ugh.
Because like when she said that at first, I was like, I feel like something's like, I feel like it's not something protecting, but she said like it was a very peaceful, protective kind of
Right?
thing. But like
hmm
just hearing that like it's large, it's wearing a robe, I was thinking like, at first I was thinking like maybe it's something like elemental that's like trying to
Yeah.
protect the land, but then she was like, no, it's protecting the people. It just really confused me. I mean,
Yeah, it confused me
elementals
too.
don't typically have like a protective nature towards humans.
hmm
They're more
What if it's like
chaos.
protecting the land?
Well, like my next thought
And
was something in Native American culture that's potentially protecting people.
hmm,
Because, like, I mean, we would have to do a deep dive on like Native American culture and like what, because when it was
yeah.
the Shawnee Indians that lived there,
Yeah.
yeah, the Shawnee tribe, I would have
hmm
to, there has to be some sort of tie from their culture to whatever this thing is that's, quote unquote, protecting the people.
I feel like that's something we could do for an episode, but like that's gonna take a lot, and I mean a lot of research, and it's gonna be long.
Yeah, definitely. Indigenous like history is
hmm
it's very
Agreed.
interesting,
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
because again they were here first,
hmm
and they're everywhere. It's not just like, oh, this only happens in West Virginia. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Now, ooh, oh yeah, you watched the episode with Pat, one of the girls that actually like visited the lake?
Was she the one that was like showing him papers or whatever, the little old lady?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, with
she
the
was so
old
cute.
newspaper. Oh my God, I
She was so
loved
cute.
her. She was so cute. But her name was Pat, and she actually experienced something while she was swimming in the lake. And she claimed that something had grabbed her leg and pulled her under the water.
Hard pass.
And she said
Thalassophobia is a
that
thing.
literally. And she said she went down into like the hole. And I'm assuming when she says the hole, she's talking about like the drain pipe that little boy got stuck in. Absolutely not. But she
Gross.
said, thankfully, her father noticed and pulled her out by her hair and yanked her out of the water.
I wonder if he just wanted a friend.
That's fucking scary. No thanks.
I was getting like Jason vibes. Maybe he just wanted a
Oh
friend.
my God. Can you be someone else's friend, not mine? Oh, that's so scary. Oh my God. I can't even imagine. I would never swim again.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Thalassophobia, but in
Especially,
a different context.
especially if, like, if I see dark water, no, that'll be a no. Even
Yeah,
now, before
dingy
getting
dingy
drowned.
water is a hard pass for me.
Yeah. No, thank you. Um, that's all I really have about this, unless you have anything else to add.
I think like my biggest takes, like in the Dead Files episode, I don't know if it's
Mm-hmm.
just like this is how they wanted him to act, so like this is how he acted. Because like I understand that they still have a show they have to produce, and they
Right,
still
right,
have,
right.
I don't know. I feel like the demeanor of a lot of the people that are on the show as like, property owners or homeowners have kind of like a similar demeanor, but I just felt I just felt like he was possessed.
No,
Like
I get that
he's
because that's what I felt the
so
entire time.
unhealthily attached. But then when you
Yeah.
watch him in like the Portals to Hell episode, he is totally different. So I meant to look up like when like the Portals to Hell episode happened
Mhm.
versus like when the Dead Files episode happened.
Mhm.
I mean, like you could just tell like based off of clothing that they were definitely not like very close by in time.
Yeah.
But it was just so interesting like how different he was. Like and the property I feel like is stopping them from refurbishing it. I know he said like if the land wants to be this, there'll be this. If the land wants to be that, there'll be that. Like
I was
I
like, dude,
definitely
shut up.
I definitely feel like the land is like
Get
leave
the
me
hell off.
alone, like respect my space.
Do you know the time difference between the Portals to Hell episode and Death
I need to
Files?
look.
Because I want to
Pause.
see like if there was a giant.
Let's see.
Hmm.
Does not say. It just shows when it's on next. Season 9. So that would have been pretty
It
late.
says, oh, that's
Travel
completely
Channel says
different.
season 9.
For Portals to Hell or Lake Shawnee?
For Dead Files.
Oh, okay. Portals to Hell says, does it give you a year?
Mm-mm. I'm gonna look on Max because I'm
Po-
on the Travel Channel right now.
Oh, okay. Because on the internet it says Portals to Hell aired May 1st, 2021. Because I just want to see like the difference on like, because
How long
you
did it
see
take?
how,
Okay,
yeah,
here. What we said, episode 11. Actually, episode 12. That was 2018.
what the
2018 for the Dead
fuck?
Files. And then Portals to Hell. Ooh, The Craft is on Max.
I know, I saw that.
I wonder what's it now. 2021. So
Okay,
that's
so I was right
that's a
about that.
decent amount of time.
Yeah. Interesting.
That is a decent amount of time to go from, you know,
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially because you're seeing like, the images of ghosts all the time and you're feeling the presence and you're on this land where tragic things had happened for years and years and years and years. There's obviously something that's going to,
attach,
affect
yeah.
you. Yeah, and attach to you. Oh my God, I can't. He needs to get off that land immediately.
Yeah, but that's the sad thing is he probably won't. Because I think
Does he
doesn't
have children?
yes, yes, that little boy was his son,
Oh
I
no.
think.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's right. That's right. That's right.
I
Even
think
he said he's experienced things there too, and he doesn't
yeah.
like being on the land. He doesn't like going to his grandma's house,
And what's
which I
crazy
don't
is
freaking
like
blame
that
him.
Destination Fear that's now Project Fear on YouTube. They
Hmm.
went in like I think 2020, but like I don't they weren't there for like a whole episode. It was just like a little blip.
Right.
Like a pre thing. So like I don't know, it's just crazy to watch the family change.
I know. It's sad and it's really scary. So, I don't know. I kind of feel like it would be something that I want to visit one day, but at the same time, like I don't want anything to, you know, attach to me, or even if I'm there for
Same.
a short amount of time, like I still don't want to risk, that,
Yeah.
because no, thank you.
Hard pass from Rachel.
Hard pass. But I'm trying to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really
It's
have much else to say about it because it was kind of just like it was a very sad
Yeah, it is very sad, especially
history.
because,
A
the
lot of
amount
it
of
was kids.
exactly. So that's why it's something that I wanted to cover briefly, but at the same time, like it is,
Still give it
a
a chance.
very
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very interesting part and has a lot of history behind it, even though like it does have some very sad deaths that did happen on the land, but
It'll be
I've never
interesting to
even
see as the years go by, like
yes,
how the property
exactly.
continues to change.
hmm And I hope they keep interviewing the White family. I want to see how their
Yes.
mentality progresses along the
Yes.
way because
I
that's
I
mm,
know there's an urban explorer I like to watch. Urban Explorer, I think his name's Josh. Urban Exploring with Josh, and he went to Lake Shawnee, and I think he did it recently. Urban, I can't spell. Urban Exploring with Josh. I found Josh from um I hate when YouTube videos automatically play.
oh my God, I know. I hate that.
um I found him from Project or no, from Sam and Colby. If you haven't watched Sam and Colby either, they're really cool as well. Um
What do they
it's
do? They just go visit like
they do so Sam and Colby do ghost hunting. They actually just bought a school recently, and
oh,
that's pretty
interesting.
cool. You'll have to look them up as well. But he just did it recently.
Oh, they have 5 seasons.
Which one?
Sam and Colby.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and during like Halloween time. Okay, so he went to Lake Shawnee over 4 months ago. So you'll have to watch his episode because I think the sun is on his channel. So you'll have to watch that. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know why, but like I've recently gotten into urban exploring. Don't think I could ever do it myself
Oh, I
because
think I'd be too scared.
yeah, you know how my anxiety is. I think I'd be like, someone's
Same.
behind me. There'd be
Literally.
no one
And if I
there.
see you react, I'm gonna react.
So yeah, I definitely think that would not be something I could do, but like he does a lot of cool things. I think the one thing that caught me was like they have like this underwater like theme park in
hmm
China because he's been to China, Japan.
An
I think
underwater
he went
theme
to
park?
Russia. Yeah, it's really cool. You'll have to look his stuff up.
Oh, wow.
But it's like super. It's like something that was supposed to like I'm saying like a lot, I'm sorry.
Like,
It
like, like,
it
it's
was
okay.
supposed to be a lot like Disney. And
But
it's not like here's the Little Mermaid. It's like their own stories and stuff like that, but like it's
that's interesting.
yeah, it's very very cool. I meant to watch his Lake Shawnee episode, but I haven't done it yet. But yeah, watch Sam and Colby. I love them. They just bought Farrar Elementary School. Can't remember where it's located, but that one's pretty crazy
Wait, why did they buy it?
because they want to like have people
Is it like
come
a
in and
haunted
ghost. Yeah,
school?
they want to have like people come in and ghost
Oh,
hunt and stuff like that. But like every Halloween, they have what's called Hell Week, and they do like back to back videos. It's super crazy.
I will have to look that up. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, definitely as we've like done a lot of like research and stuff like this, and I've watched a lot of people on YouTube just to see like what
hmm
topics are, trending and stuff like that. It's
Right.
urban exploration is definitely something that's like really caught my eye. Again, don't think I could ever do it. I don't think I have the
Yeah,
balls for that.
I definitely don't.
Um, we're also not very coordinated people. So,
hmm
um, but I don't think I have anything else for the episode today. What about you, Obs?
No, I think I covered it all basically.
All right. Well,
Definitely gonna need, I don't know, a lot more research next time. I think it's just because it was so difficult with this one. There wasn't like a ton of like info about it because it was such a long time ago. So it's like
yeah, it makes
very
it really
difficult.
hard if it's not like an amusement park or, like a history museum. Like, it's really hard to
Exactly.
kind of like find those
But
things.
I feel like it was definitely something, a short listen to that's really interesting to learn about. Because I honestly, I've only heard about Lake Shawnee one time and then I completely forgot about
Really?
it. And then I looked it up again and I was like, oh yeah, I was like, maybe I should do that. And then I read about like all the deaths of the children. I was like, I don't know. I was like, maybe if I just mention it briefly, then we'll be fine. But I feel like it was definitely something that, should have been a go over.
Yeah. We'll definitely have
But
to revisit as we like find more pieces about like
yeah,
Shawnee.
definitely.
But
Definitely
you know what,
different parts of
guys?
it.
That's for another day. I do have to say though, don't do crime.
Don't do crime. Don't do
Don't do
it.
crime.
Not worth it.
All right, we
Definitely
out.
not. Bye.